We provide the coverage. They do the act, and then we make them the stars.
When I heard that sound, I knew there was a big adventure waiting.
Without moving yourself, the world would come to you.
Everybody went out and got Windows 95.
Bill Gates' game plan was world domination.
Steve Jobs represents the entrepreneur's artist.
In 1999, we are quite dependent on the internet.
When we look back 100 years from now, this is the point where we're going to say this is where everything changed.
The 90s, next, only on CNN.
You're unbelievable.
You know you get 3 courses, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's back at Ruby Tuesday. For just $13.99, enjoy our endless garden bar choice of 3 entree favorites and 2 new desserts.
I can't do it.
Rookie mistake.
Enjoy 3 courses, just $13.99 at Ruby Tuesday Garden Bar and Grill.
Go to Wix.com to create your stunning website today. You can do it yourself. Drag and drop anything into place. Change text to make it yours. Show who you are by adding your own images. With a beautiful gallery, everyone can see your best work and share it with the world. Your website, totally stunning, created by you. Go to Wix.com to create yours today.
There's a place where imagination, curiosity, and wonder are launched. Amazing isn't all of us. It just needs a little nurturing.
Kitty Academy Educational Childcare, now enrolling nationwide. Call or visit today.
Half a bottle of hydrating serum in one sheet mask? Skeptical? New sheet masks from Garnier Skin Active. In one mask, more than half a bottle of hydrating serum. Skin is rehydrated, radiant, in just 15 minutes. Moisture Bomb sheet masks from Garnier Skin Active.
For millions of baby boomers, there's a serious virus out there that's been almost forgotten. It's hepatitis C. 1 in 30 boomers has hep C, yet most don't even know it, because it can hide in your body for years without symptoms, and it's not tested for in routine blood work. The CDC recommends all baby boomers get tested. If you have hep C, it can be cured. For us, it's time to get tested. Ask your healthcare provider for the simple blood test. It's the only way to know for sure.
Make her day with just one touch. Introducing Fancy Feast Creamy Delights with just the right touch of real milk. Easily digestible, it makes her favorite entrees even more delightful. New Fancy Feast Creamy Delights. Love is in the details.
Who can turn the world on with a smile? Who can take a nothing day and suddenly make it all seem worthwhile? What is it, girl, and you should know it. Each glance and every little movement you show it. You're gonna make it after all.
It takes a long time to get to the top. But with America's best bumper-to-bumper limited warranty, the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan will be there every step of the way.
Pressure? I feel it every day. But at night, it's the last thing on my mind. For 10 years, my Tempur-Pedic has adapted to my weight and shape, relieving pressure points from head to toe. So I sleep deeply, but feel light, and wake up ready to perform, even with the weight of history on my shoulders.
Only exclusive retailers carry Tempur-Pedic. Find yours at TempurPedic.com.
Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-900-0202.
People ask me all the time, George, what do I do with my idea for a new product? I tell them, call my friends at InventHelp.
Call for free information.
The White House has now confirmed that Ramzi Ahmed Youssef, the alleged mastermind of the bombing of the World Trade Center, has been arrested in Pakistan.
About 11 hours of deliberation before the 7 men and 5 women unanimously sentenced McVeigh to death by lethal injection.
The FBI says the man wanted in a fatal shooting outside CIA headquarters has been turned over to the U.S.
The Unabomber now knows his sentence, and it is life in prison.
Over the course of the 1990s, a lot of terrorism threats were dealt with as law enforcement cases. The Department of Justice and the FBI would find their guy and they would prosecute him. It isn't that that wasn't essential, that strategy. It just meant that we weren't perceiving the threat as something bigger.
This is the new face of terror, Osama bin Laden, the 39-year-old renegade son of a Saudi billionaire.
an Islamic fundamentalist, elusive, mysterious.
Bin Laden's academic training was in economics and public administration, so he brought the sensibilities of a businessman to terrorism when he creates Al-Qaeda.
Call it Terror Inc. Private jets, Swiss bank accounts. He gives orders via the internet.
When it comes to issues like motive, money, network, he's one of the few in the world who has all the various components. Bin Laden, who had been a de facto ally of the United States during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s, turned on the United States.
He was angry at the lingering American presence in Saudi Arabia. I mean, the war with Saddam Hussein was over. It was seen as this great insult to have non-Muslims in the country defending it.
I first heard the name Osama bin Laden in a story in the New York Times. I went to my bosses at CNN saying, let's try and meet this guy and find out what his deal is.
Amidst these remote mountains of Afghanistan are the various hiding places of one of the world's most wanted men, Osama bin Laden.
Peter Arnett, the correspondent, and then Peter Juvenile, the cameraman, and myself, we traveled with bin Laden's associates into the mountains of Afghanistan, which at that time was controlled by the Taliban.
A year ago, bin Laden took refuge here in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is perhaps the only country in the world that will accept him.
For his first television interview, he figured he'd have a world audience.
Mr. bin Laden, you have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The arrogance of the United States regime has reached the point that they occupied Arabia, the holiest place of the Muslims, who are more than 1 billion people in the world today.
What are your future plans?
You'll see them and hear about them in the media, God willing.
On the 8th anniversary of the U.S. deployment in Saudi Arabia, Osama bin Laden's forces bombed 2 American embassies in Africa.
It was mid-morning in Nairobi when a powerful bomb exploded outside the U.S. Embassy. The building behind the embassy crumbled into a tangle of concrete and steel, turning the sidewalk red with blood. A passing bus, its windows blown out, people on board incinerated.
Almost simultaneously, 415 miles away, another deadly blast. The target, the U.S. Embassy in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Simultaneous attacks become the hallmark of Al-Qaeda demonstrating its power.
The death toll now stands at 210. 5,000 people were injured.
This attack is very sophisticated. It is very coordinated. This is an enemy that we were not prepared for.
Overseas tonight, Secretary of State Madeleine Albright spent the day in East Africa.
I went to Kenya. I also went to Tanzania to see what had happened. Basically still trying to collect the facts. We began to be able to trace that to Osama bin Laden.
We will not be intimidated or pushed off the world stage by people who do not like what we stand for.
Bin Laden's group is suddenly a real player. And the Clinton administration decides to do something about him.
American military forces struck a series of targets overseas in Sudan and Afghanistan.
The unmanned Tomahawk missile was the Pentagon's weapon of choice for the surprise aerial attacks aimed at sending a pointed message to accused terrorist kingpin Osama bin Laden.
America has battled terrorism for many years. We have quietly disrupted terrorist groups and foiled their plots. But there have been and will be times when our very national security is challenged and when we must take extraordinary steps to protect the safety of our citizens.
Within minutes of today's attacks in Afghanistan and Sudan, some in Washington were openly questioning the timing of it.
It was the wag the dog question about the movie where a president fakes a war to distract the country from news of his sexual dalliances.
There are quite a few people who believe that Clinton is trying to distract Americans with a shiny object from what really matters, which is his impeachment trouble for the remainder of his time in office. He wouldn't authorize attacks unless the information was absolutely perfect because he anticipated that criticism.
We came within yards, literally, of taking out Osama bin Laden himself.
And he got away, obviously.
Well, by, happenstance, luck.
Bin Laden at war with the United States every second of every day. According to counterterrorism officials who tell NBC News, his terror network now operates in 50 countries, training camps in 20.
We had entered a different era. You have an enemy that is completely amorphous. They can be in Yemen, they can be in Saudi Arabia, they can be in Paris and London, they can be everywhere.
Looking for clear answers for your retirement plan? Start here. At Fidelity, we let you know where you stand. So when it comes to your retirement plan, you'll always be absolutely clear. It's your retirement. Know where you stand.
Today's Best Western is more rewarding than ever. Rewards members get our best rates every stay. And with rewards points that never expire, you get more free nights at over 4,200 hotels worldwide, gift cards, and instant rewards. Now get a $10 gift card with every night you stay. Let's go get rewarded. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Everyone has got a dream. You know what I mean?
Hey, is this our turn? Honey, our turn?
Yeah, we go left right here. Great adventures are still out there. We'll find them in our Subaru Outback.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Get 0% APR financing for 63 months on all new 2017 Subaru Outback models, now through August 31st.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in food that's naturally beautiful and fresh, delicious and powerful, and full of nutrients. So there are no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, no artificial preservatives, and no artificial sweeteners in any of the food we sell. We believe that the food we eat connects us to the natural world and to each other. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Going somewhere? Here's some advice. TripAdvisor now searches more than 200 booking sites to find the hotel you want and save you up to 30%. Trust this bird's words. TripAdvisor.
And from the ocean waters off the coast of Florida tonight,
Alien's mother is believed to have drowned.
6 years old is too young to speak for themselves.
Why has this become so political?
Well, of course, I'd rather grow up in the United States.
the Cuban-American National Foundation versus the Castro brothers.
The crowd here very angry over the Elian Gonzalez situation.
This was spinning out of control.
God, America, what did you do to this boy?
CNN Films presents Elian, August 24th on CNN.
Spectrum does internet right, delivering faster download speeds and more consistent performance than anyone else. Plus, there are no modem fees, data caps, or speed throttling. We're confident in our service, so there are no contracts either. In fact, Spectrum even has the fastest starting speeds for the price, which means you're getting the value you deserve. Spectrum Internet. Get the speed you expect and the bandwidth you need.
Presenting Just for Men Auto Stop. It's time travel in a comb. It gives you back your natural hair color before you went gray. No mix, no mess. Comb in and your natural hair color is back. Lift off. Just for Men Auto Stop.
Allergies can hold you back. Break through with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief. It starts working in 1 hour. Relief lasts 24 hours, and it's non-drowsy. Break through allergies with Allegra 5-in-1 Relief.
CNN Special Report, Twittering Trump, Friday night at 9.
What's the fear of bin Laden today?
If, in fact, he is trying to mount another attack, and all the intelligence senior analysts have said publicly before Congress and on television that they believe he is, then you end up moving towards American symbols, corporate symbols, or tourism, or America stateside.
By the end of the decade, the American and other foreign intelligence agencies were very much on guard. The chatter on intercepts was that the turn of a century, or in this case, a millennium, this would be a great opportunity to be memorable.
Tonight, a man in custody, a man who came across the Canadian border headed for Seattle with a truckload of explosives and timing devices.
Authorities say the suspect arrives at Port Angeles, Washington, aboard the car ferry from Victoria, British Columbia. But he's nervous, acting suspiciously.
It was a border guard in Washington State. She stopped the man who was the driver and asked if she could look into his trunk.
Authorities fear he was part of a plot to launch a New Year's Eve attack, and that he was not acting alone. There may be a connection to Saudi-born terrorist Osama bin Laden.
But as one U.S. official worries tonight, there's still a lot we don't know.
Ahmad Rassam, in some respects, was a new kind of terrorist. In the past, al-Qaeda operatives have been given very specific orders and direct targeting instructions. Rassam, though, is given $12,000 in seed money. He's told to raise the rest of your funds, recruit your own, sell, and bomb whatever you want.
2 quart jars of nitroglycerin and 3 garbage bags filled with the chemical urea were found in the trunk.
The explosive ingredients are the same used in the bombing of the World Trade Center in New York.
His mission is to blow up one of the terminals at LAX, Los Angeles Airport, and he gets stopped.
Even though the authorities appear to have gotten their man, the threat may not yet be over.
We ended the decade with the clear perception now that we were engaged with a terrorist organization that had declared war on us and was determined to carry out more attacks.
His interest is in achieving a large body count. That is the reality of today's terrorism.
Fears of sabotage have also prompted tighter security at airports, border crossings, utilities, and tunnels in many states.
ABC News released results today from a poll that asked, how concerned are you about the possibility of a domestic terrorist attack? 73% said they weren't worried.
The challenge is sustaining counterterrorism as a policy priority. We shouldn't lose vigilance after January 1. We need to sustain these efforts because the terrorist often takes the path of least resistance and strikes when and where we least expect them to.
The government and security people all over the country have to be lucky every day. Terrorists have to be lucky only once.
If you look back at the 90s in their totality, there was a lot of violence going on in the United States on American soil.
Seeing the 1990s as a whole, if you will, and looking at major pivot points, Columbine, the shooting in schools in Colorado, the bombing in Oklahoma City, the Davidian compound in Waco, were indicative of something deep within the country. Something dark was moving in the society.
As the year 2000 approaches, groups that track the nation's militias say hatred of the government and fear of martial law are growing.
It's hard to think of any decade that comes close to the 1990s in terms of the number and the enormity of attacks directed and designed to get back at the U.S. government.
These very powerful subterranean forces were marshaling their strength to really plunge us into a new era of violence in the new millennium.
It was bad enough when all this horror happened somewhere else, but now that the world's become a global village, there is no somewhere else anymore. Look out, America. Terrorism's come home.
I think we are in for a long time. You know,
things
like this. This is the new, the war, the battles of the end of this century and the beginning of the next one. And this country, when we put our mind to it, whether it was the First World War, the Second World War, or the Cold War, we have an enemy, and the enemy are the terrorists who do not believe in what we do, open societies and freedom, who are out to kill plain, innocent people. And we have to understand that this is a sustained effort.
In the 90s, we're going to revolutionize human communication using these desktop computers.
You got mail.
What is the World Wide Web?
In the world of computers, it's kill or be killed.
Please welcome Bill Gates.
Do you agree or disagree that you have a monopoly?
Check out Windows 95!
This is iMac.
It's a technological revolution that's changing the way we do everything, from making friends to falling in love.
When the new millennium arrives, so will a technological tidal wave.
So you've just bought your first personal computer, you've brought it home from the store, you're unpacking it, and then comes the moment of truth. If you've just bought your first personal computer, this show is for you.
Computers were, in 1990, a disconnected device. It was a brick, right, that sat in your house and let you do amazing things that you'd never been able to do before, but it was essentially a productivity tool.
Now that we have all these very powerful tools, we're still islands, and we're still not really connecting these people using these powerful tools together.
Apple was in a period of decline. Steve Jobs quit in kind of a temper tantrum in 1985, and he went off and started a company called Next. After he left, there was a sequence of pretty boring, unimaginative corporate leadership that followed him.
So why did you leave Apple?
Well, why did I leave Apple? Oh, I was asked to leave. Yeah, I was asked to leave Apple. I was planning on spending the rest of my life there, but it didn't work out that way.
Steve Jobs was a genius, but one of the reasons he got moved out of his job was because he was spending huge amounts of money on projects that, for the most part, never reached the market. And Apple had a crisis of confidence.
At a time when major computer corporations like Apple are laying off 10% of their workforce, Microsoft is the big exception in the computer industry.
People didn't get how much value there was to be derived from software, that the operating system could be the most valuable piece of real estate in the whole computing business, was something not understood by almost anybody in the computer industry, apart from Bill Gates.
Today we're introducing Microsoft Windows version 3.
Bill Gates, part Thomas Edison, part Henry Ford, part Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. At 19, he dropped out of Harvard to design computer software with his friend Paul Allen. They came up with a system that operates 90% of the personal computers today.
Microsoft was making a lot of money then. They were charging $200, $300, $400 for, say, a word processing package that really was costing them about 50 cents to print on floppies.
Hardworking, modest, easygoing, it would seem to a fault. Of course, he does have at least one secret, but we'll fix that. Is it true that you can leap over a chair from a standing position?
It depends on the size of the chair, but this chair, probably so.
Yes!
I took a step before I did it.
That's okay.
Bill Gates wasn't just one thing. He was a brilliant guy, had great parents, family values, but he was a killer. He basically was a ruthless guy, and so was Microsoft.
No. Somebody's confused. Somebody's just not thinking. I mean, there's no way.
We'll figure it out.
You guys never understood. You never understood the first thing about this.
A lot of people make the analogy that competing with Bill Gates is like playing hardball. I'd say it's more like a knife fight.
I've never heard any of these things. You know, you're saying like knife fight. That's silliness. It's childish. I mean, why be a mouthpiece for that kind of silliness? Well, I'm done.
Can I just ask you one more question, Bill?
No, I don't think so.
I remember one time interviewing Gates, and I said, Microsoft owns the world right now. You worry about that? He said, I worry about it every single night. I go to bed thinking, what have I not thought about?
Now it's starting to dial. And now I am in.
It spans the globe like a superhighway. It is called Internet. The net began back in 1969. It was a tool of the Pentagon. But nowadays, just about anyone with a computer and a modem can join in.
The Internet was a really dorky, hard to use, and extremely nerdy thing. None of your friends would have been on this, just fellow people in tech.
The Internet really was not a huge factor in the early 90s, but Netscape changed things.
They're calling him the next Bill Gates. 24-year-old Mark Andreessen. 15 months ago, Andreessen, fresh out of the University of Illinois, helped start a company called Netscape. At 11 a.m. this morning, the company's stock went public and Wall Street went bonkers. So what does Netscape produce that now makes the company worth $2.9 billion? this, the Netscape Navigator, software which makes it easy for people to connect to the global computer network called the Internet.
Microsoft has a long history of feeling threatened by hot new upstarts. You could easily argue that Bill Gates' game plan was world domination.
These guys can be taken, but the only way we're going to take them is by studying them. Know what they know. Do what they do. Watch them, watch them, watch them. Take every one of their good ideas and make it one of our good ideas.
Microsoft came down and essentially said to Netscape, hey, you know, we can be friends or we can be enemies. And if we're going to be friends, that's great. You'll get all the advantages of working with Microsoft in a million ways, and you'll be on the home screen of a lot of computers, or we can compete. And if we're going to compete, we're going to basically do whatever's required to kill you.
Some people believe that you have an infinite appetite for power, that you are the embodiment of a button that was around during the 1980s that said, I want it all, and you want to eat up your competitors. Is that unfair?
It doesn't ring any bells with me.
This CNN original series, The 90s, is brought to you by AT&T.
We don't just want to watch the games cable gives us. We want all the teams, no matter where we live, with DirecTV NFL Sunday Ticket. We want Falcons in New York, Jets in LA, Bears in New Orleans, or Buccaneers in a quaint little New England bed and breakfast.
Can you please pass the marmalade, Charlie?
I sure can, Crazy Pirate.
Switch to DirecTV and get every game every Sunday with NFL Sunday Ticket. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Why should over 200 years of city history matter to you? Well, because it tells us something powerful about progress. That whether times are good or bad, people and their ideas will continue to move the world forward as long as they have someone to believe in them. Citi financed the transatlantic cable that connected continents and the Panama Canal that made our world a smaller place. We backed the Marshall Plan that helped Europe regain its strength and pioneered the ATM for cash anytime. For over 2 centuries, we've supported dreams like these and the people and companies behind them. So why should that matter to you? Because today we are still helping progress makers turn their ideas into reality. And the next great idea could be yours.
Experience advanced safety technology at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event before it ends.
Choose from the IS Turbo, ES350, or NX Turbo for $299 a month for 36 months if you lease now.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
We come into this world needing others. Then we are told it's braver to go it alone. But there's another way to live. A way that sees the only path to fulfillment is through others.
If you could book a flight, then add a hotel or car or activity in one place and save, where would you go? Expedia gives you the world in your hand, so you can see more of it. Expedia.
Make her day with just one touch. Introducing Fancy Feast Creamy Delights with just the right touch of real milk. Easily digestible, it makes your favorite entrees even more delightful. New Fancy Feast Creamy Delights. Love is in the details.
Closed captioning brought to you by non-prescription IB-Guard for irritable bowel syndrome.
My abdominal pain and bloating made daily life a guessing game. Will I have pain and bloating today? My doctor recommended IB-Guard to manage my IBS. Take control. Ask your doctor about non-prescription IB-Guard.
The first day back.
What do President Clinton, conservative radio personality Rush Limbaugh, and rock star Billy Idol have in common? They've all got electronic mail addresses on computer systems linked to the internet.
Who are these other people that are on it?
Other people just like you who
But
buy
how
a
do they get
computer.
on it? Who regulates this internet and who decides who gets on this highway and who doesn't?
Well, the services we're talking about today are commercial services, so you spend money to get on there. So there's no real regulation per se. You use your phone line and your computer and you get online.
CompuServe was for the tech-savvy people, Prodigy was for shopping, and AOL was the first one that had a vision to get everyone connected.
When I heard that sound, I cried a little bit because I knew there was a big adventure waiting for me.
Welcome. You've got mail. CompuServe charged by the minute, so it was like a taxi cab. AOL's invention was to forget that and charge $19.95 a month, all you can eat. And that changed everything because now you could afford to be on the internet all you wanted.
You didn't have to be a researcher. You could dial onto AOL. AOL was specifically designed to be point and click.
Steve Case is the president of America Online. I interviewed him via computer.
Then George asked, what are the most popular America Online features now?
He responds, the real focus for us is on promoting interactivity.
What's the very best thing about it? I think be able to communicate with just about anyone, anywhere.
One of the things that AOL realizes is that America Online can't be all 200+ million people at once. You need little neighborhoods. And so chat rooms become internet neighborhoods where people who share interests create their own little space.
You can either click on the chat button up here or go to the people connection. That's what America Online calls it. And when you get here, click on list rooms. You'll find different categories of rooms.
When I was a kid, I didn't know any other black gay people. And the only people I knew were the folks that I met on America Online. I didn't come out to my mother till much later, but I was out on the internet.
In many respects, AOL was, one of the first social media companies.
Computer communication is not like human communication. There's no facial expression to help you know which way something ambiguous is meant. So the isolated communicators of cyberspace have come up with little signs made out of punctuation marks. They're called emoticons.
You were using text to have a conversation that felt like a face-to-face communication. You could see the start of this new online culture.
It's a technological revolution that's changing the way we do everything, from making friends to falling in love.
He was nice, and he never gave me any of the come-on lines. It was always friendly. And
no, wait. You're telling me that guys use pickup lines on a computer?
Mm-hmm.
As the internet grows, I'm finding information. I also want to find love.
I just happened to stumble on Michael's address. I picked him out of the blue. I read his profile, and I was completely floored.
Many of the businesses of the internet work on connecting, for the first time, total strangers who have very narrow interests in common.
AOL was what was called a walled garden. Picture this, you're paying a monthly fee for something with a limited number of things to do. But no matter how many things they put inside their garden, they could never come close to the hundreds of millions of things that would pop up on the open internet.
The thing about the World Wide Web is that it has no central organizing body. It's chaotic. If you are running a website, how is anyone going to find you?
Stanford grad students Jerry Yang and David Philo like spending hour after hour discovering interesting places on the internet, and that is how they stumbled onto a fortune. Their $1 million idea is called Yahoo.
Yahoo came in at just the perfect time. They literally made a list. It was just simply a listing. It was Jerry and David's web listing, and they named it Yahoo after rednecks, Yahoos.
Yahoo was an exercise in organizing the internet. It quickly became the leading way to find things, and it was a directory-based system. It wasn't a search-based system. The idea was to curate the whole web.
Wall Street now values Yahoo at around $700 million, even though the company is barely profitable.
With the success of Netscape and the growth of these digital upstarts, Yahoo, there was this energy that was not all in Seattle.
It's not really Silicon Valley versus what's going on up at Redmond, Washington. It's more mankind versus Microsoft. So Silicon Valley is just one outpost against the evil empire to the north.
This is Silicon Valley,
the heart and soul of the nation's computer business. Here, Microsoft is respected and feared as a powerful giant whose every footstep sends shivers through the entire industry.
There's this emerging war, basically, between the Silicon Valley culture built up around the web and the Microsoft culture up in Redmond. And it's not just a cultural clash, but an economic clash, technological clash, a clash for power.
Bill Gates had to turn Microsoft like a supertanker around to have it address the internet. And the way they did that was by coming up with Internet Explorer, which they presented as the world's best browser. It wasn't. You know, Microsoft stuff never is the best. But it was well marketed and it was pushed and they had a lot of money behind it.
Here came Microsoft with its own version of a web browser built into Windows 95. Their intention was to kill Netscape as the browser and make Internet Explorer its replacement.
A consumer feeding frenzy. Many computer stores, like this one in Miami, opened at the stroke of midnight so customers could be the first to get their hands on Windows 95.
Check out Windows 95!
It seems like an awful lot of fuss over a single product, but the product will have a huge impact, not just on Microsoft, but on the global computer industry.
This is Jennifer Aniston. I'm Matthew Perry. We're here to see Mr. Bill Gates about a possible starring role in the video guide to Microsoft Windows 95.
All of the employees of Microsoft have been invited to a huge party in a tent over there on the Microsoft campus. And guess what song we could hear blaring out of there? You got it, Rolling Stones, Start Me Up.
Windows 95 was the most successful software launch to this day. Everybody, whether they really wanted to or not, went out and got Windows 95.
Getting the Rolling Stones to allow their music to be used in the ad launch tonight is the sign of a company at the peak of its powers. The challenge for Microsoft is to stay there. With the race now on to exploit the internet, it may soon be Microsoft's turn to fear the competition.
The CNN original series, The 90s, is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to see how much you could save.
The running of the bulldogs? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much money Aaliyah saved by switching to Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Now you can have everything. And your family can too. One of America's safest crossovers, well equipped for under $24,000. Get up to $2,000 cash back or 0% APR for 72 months on select models.
The world is full of surprising moments. They're everywhere. And as a Marriott Rewards member, I can embrace them all.
Experience more as a member. The Marriott portfolio has 30 brands in over 110 countries. So no matter where you go, you are here.
Ace has grown to 5,000 stores. That's twice as many helpful hardware locations as any of the warehouse stores. But we're not just about numbers. We're about helping neighbors. Because each one of our stores is a part of your community. Yep, 5,000. That's a lot. But it's nowhere close to the number of ways we can help you.
To celebrate, join us for the 5,000 store sale. Don't miss the daily deals and incredible savings on hundreds of items throughout the store. Friday through Monday only.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with new Tums Chewy Bites. Fast relief in every bite. Crunchy outside, chewy inside. New Tums Chewy Bites.
How did being dirty get so funny?
Free speech, mother.
Those are bad, bad words, and it's hilarious.
Funny. The History of Comedy. Next Sunday night on CNN.
Spectrum does internet right, delivering faster download speeds and more consistent performance than anyone else. Plus, there are no modem fees, data caps, or speed throttling. We're confident in our service, so there are no contracts either. In fact, Spectrum even has the fastest starting speeds for the price, which means you're getting the value you deserve. Spectrum Internet. Get the speed you expect and the bandwidth you need.
Hi. I'm the one clocking in when you're clocking out, sensing your every move and automatically adjusting to help you stay effortlessly comfortable. There. I can also help with this. Does your bed do that? Oh, I don't actually talk, though I'm smart enough to. I'm the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
Classified. Saturday nights at 9 on CNN.
Apple Computer, a pioneer in the personal computers and software business, has fallen on hard times. After reporting a big quarterly loss, it decided to lay off 1,300 workers.
How do you feel about what's happened to Apple? Did it have to turn out the way it did?
It's hard to predict these things. I mean,
come on, Steve, you've thought about this. This is not a subject that's unfamiliar to you.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of ancient history to me right now. I don't really think about this stuff anymore. And Apple and Microsoft duke it out, and Netscape and Microsoft duke it out. And to me, it's a spectator sport.
In the mid-1990s, Apple had a couple more CEOs, none of whom really grasped the vision of Apple. As a result, the company just did worse and worse and worse as the decade progressed.
With big losses in the last quarter, with profit margins shrinking, Apple seems destined for a takeover. This is a computer that even has fan clubs.
I just love the Apple, and I always have, and I can't really say why.
Everyone was rooting for Apple to somehow survive, but it wasn't at all clear that Apple would be around at the end of the 1990s.
The troubled Apple Computer Company may return to its core in an effort to boost sagging sales. Apple reportedly will name its co-founder, Steve Jobs, as its new chairman. Jobs would replace a chairman who was ousted earlier this month.
Steve came over to Apple, sold Next to Apple for $400 million. He had no ambitions at Apple at all. But Steve Jobs was watching Apple flounder, and he just couldn't help himself. And so he remade the company the way he wanted. And there was no one to oppose him because the company was exhausted.
Steve Jobs had exactly the abrasive but incisive personality that Apple needed at that point. They needed someone to come in, say, kill that project, that's stupid, consolidate that, and focus the company.
I'd like to announce one of our first partnerships today, a very, very meaningful one, and that is one with Microsoft. We're very, very happy about it. We're very, very excited about it. And I happen to have a special guest with me today via satellite downlink.
I don't think Steve Jobs has ever experienced, before or after that, just people going, boo, no. Microsoft represented everything that these hardcore Apple fans hated.
If we want to move forward and see Apple healthy and prospering again, we have to let go of a few things here. We have to let go of this. For Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose. Okay?
There was an alliance now between these two former arch rivals, and Microsoft was going to invest $150 million in Apple. But more important from Bill Gates' point of view was that Apple would include Microsoft's browser in all Macintoshes. That was the last piece. Now, he had domination of the browser world.
Microsoft says Internet Explorer just makes it easier to get around the web. But when you hit a button to access services for travel, entertainment, news, and the like, you find sites owned by Microsoft. And that's what the government is worried about. Over the next few years, Americans may be buying billions of dollars in goods and services through the Internet. And that's a market too important, the government says, for one company to act as gatekeeper.
The U.S. Justice Department asked a federal court today to fine Microsoft Corporation a record $1 million a day.
The complaint against Microsoft came from executives at Netscape, a fast-growing software company that struck gold with its web browser, but Microsoft began giving away its own browser and required computer manufacturers to offer it with Windows.
What they're able to do is they're able to illegally, we believe, use that monopoly power to block competition. They're able to pay people to not use our software, and they're able to do other things that monopolists are legally not allowed to do.
A lot of people are saying the antitrust laws are outmoded. Technology will enforce competition on its own. The counter-argument is that when you begin to get lots of people to use your operating system, it becomes harder and harder for somebody else to break in to that industry.
Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates goes before Congress for the first time today. Gates is expected to face tough questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee.
I want to, if you don't mind, can I ask the audience one question and get a little quick poll here? How many of you use Intel-based PCs in this audience? Raise your hands. All right. Of that group who use PCs, how many of you use a PC without Microsoft's operating system? Gentlemen, that's a monopoly. That's a lock. That's 100%.
It is fair to say that when you compete with people, you think, hey, we're going to have a better product. We're going to win the customer. We're going to do a good job here on these things.
The hearing makes clear, I think, to most people, like, oh, so that Gates guy, he's not just like kind of a good-natured geek in glasses. He's another rich, rapacious capitalist.
Police and security guards in Belgium were caught flat-footed today by a cowardly sneak attack on one of the world's wealthiest men.
It's been a bad week for Microsoft and its cybermeister Bill Gates. Yesterday, at the Chicago debut of his much-awaited Windows 98 system, the program dramatically crashed.
You'll notice that this scanner, Bill,
Well, it's shaping up as one of the antitrust battles of the century. Federal and state governments today sued Microsoft, saying the computer software giant is predatory and scheming to crush all competition.
Microsoft used its monopoly power to develop a chokehold on the browser software needed to access the internet.
I don't think Bill Gates recognized the seriousness of the situation. This was a case that simply wasn't going to go away.
Worst case, they'll ask us to create a crippled product, and that would be too bad. That would really hold us back. So we're quite confident that won't happen.
The government tried to avoid this trial in every way they could, but once Bill rejected every settlement offer, the world just changed, because it was like, okay, so now we're going to court. The government might not be good at some things, but it's really good at litigation. And when it decides it's going to win a lawsuit, you are going to face a formidable adversary.
The CNN original series, The 90s, is brought to you by Flonase Sensimist Allergy Relief. Powerful relief in a gentle mist.
Rethink what's possible. Rethink your allergy pills. Flonase Sensimist Allergy Relief helps block 6 key inflammatory substances with a gentle mist. Most allergy pills only block 1, and 6 is greater than 1. Flonase Sensimist.
Champagne and models, potpourri. On my yacht, made of Cuban mahogany. Watch this.
Don't get mad. Get E-Trade and get invested.
Infinity, empower the drive.
Just like magic, Progressive gives you options based on your budget.
You ever feel like cliche foil characters scheming against the top insurer for no reason? Nah. So, why don't we like Flo? She has the name your price tool and we want it. But why? Why don't we actually do any work?
Why do you only own one suit?
It's just the way it is, underdeveloped office character. You're right. Thanks, Bill. No, your bill on Tom. You know what? No one cares.
The Paw Patrol always uses the right tools for the job. Gear up for your next adventure at VisionWorks, so your eyes have the right tools too. Right now, 2 pairs of glasses for kids are just $99 at VisionWorks.
And from the ocean waters off the coast of Florida tonight,
Alien's mother is believed to have drowned.
6 years old is too young to speak for themselves.
Why has this become so political?
Well, of course, I'd rather grow up in the United States.
The Cuban-American National Foundation versus the Castro brothers.
The crowd here very angry over the Alien Gonzalez situation.
This was spinning out of control.
God, America, what did you do this for?
CNN Films presents Elian, August 24th on CNN.
Nissan is the premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and we surprised fans with this award-winning lineup.
Eddie George, Marcus Allen.
Are you guys ready to go train with us? Let's go do it! Then, they experienced Nissan's award-winning lineup.
That's incredible.
It's Nissan's bottom line model year-end event. Lease the Rogue family, starting at just $159 per month, or save up to $10,260 on select models.
Will you take me to the Nissan dealership?
He may not look like much, but he's still got lots of potential. He just needs a little attention, and the sky's the limit. Donating my old car to Goodwill provides essential training programs to help those in the community get a good job. Might even work for my son.
When you donate your vehicle to the Goodwill Auto Auction, the funds generated stay in your community and help the unemployed find productive jobs. Call 228-AUTO and donate your vehicle today.
CNN Special Report, Twitter and Trump, Friday night at 9.
It's been 10 months since a new management team took over at Apple. And because of their hard work, I'm really pleased to report to you today that Apple's back on track. And today, I'm incredibly pleased to introduce iMac, our consumer product. This is iMac.
The iMac is a computer that was meant to look like something you would want people to see in your house. It ushered in this new era where design started to matter.
The iMac was sexy. I had a blue one, and it had curves. It was built like a sports car. When people think of computers, they think of boring, they think of beige, they think of it as utilitarian. Apple made it fun.
You can take it home, take it out of the box, and be cruising the internet within 10 minutes. And that's not something you can do on any other computer we know of.
He added software to make it easier to connect to the internet. So the I in iMac was for internet.
It changed how people thought of Apple and changed how people perceived what had been a dying company. Suddenly people saw that there was a spark here.
In the world of computers, it's kill or be killed, and the original WizKid was thought to be dying an early death. But guess what? Mac is back.
A year ago, nobody would have predicted this. Steve Jobs, the head man at Apple Computer, hailed as the visionary hero who brought the company back from the verge of extinction.
In 4.5 months, iMac has become the #1 selling computer in America.
Bill Gates ultimately represents the computer genius as entrepreneur. Steve Jobs represents the entrepreneur as artist.
You know, you can say what you want about Steve Jobs, but he knew how to make people believe.
In federal court in Washington, D.C. today, a case of legal hardball and computer software. The U.S. government set out to prove that computer industry giant Microsoft tried to bully the competition illegally into submission or out of business.
As Microsoft and Justice Department lawyers came to do battle at the federal courthouse, a Bill Gates impersonator showed up, adding a surreal touch. Inside the courtroom, the real Bill Gates, on videotape, under oath, in a deposition taken in August.
The thing about a deposition is that the only thing that the witness can really do is to sit there and tell the truth simply and directly. The first 2 hours of the deposition was quite unexpected.
From the stuff you've given me here. Just to read, I'm asking for your present recollection if you have one, and I can read the document myself.
I don't know what you mean by present recollection. What do you mean by internet software?
the full breadth of your question?
This person who I know is brilliant and articulate and passionate is withdrawn, playing word games, being evasive, doing everything that makes him look like he is not confident in his position.
You recognize that this is a document produced from Microsoft's files, do you not, sir?
No.
You don't?
Well, how would I know that?
David Boies, the famous litigator, he has a photographic memory. He would ask Gates in the deposition, do you ever remember saying this? No, I never would say something like that. Boies, without looking at notes, would say, would you call up document 3021, please?
Did you know that Microsoft people were meeting with Netscape before they actually met?
I don't recall knowing in advance.
Government lawyer David Boies revealed an internal Microsoft memorandum written by Gates 3 weeks before that meeting. I think there is a very powerful deal of some kind we can do with Netscape, Gates wrote. We could even pay them money as part of the deal, buying some piece of them or something.
When I covered the trial, one of the things the judge said to me is he didn't believe Bill Gates. And that deposition was very instrumental in shaping the judge's decision.
I've never seen a stamp like that. I've never used a stamp like that.
Haven't you seen stamps like that in every single one of the documents that you've been shown during this deposition?
Can you get me all the exhibits?
Just a waste. It is a waste of time.
Technology is hard to understand. Their pitch to the judge was, trust us. We're doing what we're doing for the consumer. The deposition made him and the company look like they were not trustworthy.
Because this deposition and the snippets of it that played out day after day on national television, it was an incredibly precipitous decline in how most people viewed Bill Gates.
He was an environment that, unlike almost every other environment in which he operates, he did not control. No witness controls a deposition. No matter how rich, no matter how powerful, every witness has to sit there and answer questions.
In words surprisingly blunt, Judge Thomas Penfield Jackson declared Microsoft a monopoly. Lawyers from the Justice Department in the 19 states that sued Microsoft immediately claimed victory.
Microsoft is a monopolist, and it engaged in massive anti-competitive practices.
It drove Bill Gates crazy that the government was portraying him as some kind of evil force. Was he ruthless as a businessman? Yes. Did he see himself as a ruthless businessman? No. He saw himself as someone who was advancing the common good. And the government didn't see it that way.
This CNN original series, The 90s, is brought to you by Whole Foods Market. We believe in real food.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in food that's naturally beautiful and fresh, delicious and powerful, and full of nutrients. So there are no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, no artificial preservatives, and no artificial sweeteners in any of the food we sell. We believe that the food we eat connects us to the natural world and to each other. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Every storm is different now.
An Inconvenient sequel is now certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is right to save humanity. It is wrong to pollute this earth.
Discover the story you don't know.
I'm talking about breaking the impasse.
And be a part of the most important movie of the year. It's daring, urgent, and exhilarating.
Couldn't you hear what the scientists were saying? Couldn't you hear what Mother Nature was screaming at you?
An Inconvenient sequel, rated PG, now playing.
Experience unparalleled luxury at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event before it ends.
Choose from the ES Turbo, ES350, or NX Turbo for $299 a month for 36 months if you lease now.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Work up a sweat during the day, not at night.
Only Tempur-Breeze mattresses use an integrated system of technologies to keep you cool while you sleep. Ultra-breathable support layers channel heat away from your body. Pure Cool technology delivers cooling comfort you can feel. And the performance cover is cool to the touch. So you sleep cool and wake up feeling powerful. Only exclusive retailers carry Breeze. Find yours at Tempur-Pedic.com/cooling.
No one loves a road trip like your furry sidekick. So when your side glass gets damaged, trust Safe Light Auto Glass to fix it fast. It's easy. Just bring it to us or let us come to you. And we'll get you back on the road.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Because we care about you and your co-pilot.
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
Register today at Elite Singles, where you'll benefit from 100% verified profiles, an extensive personality test, and tailored matches in your area. EliteSingles.com. Never more ready.